What is going on, everybody? My name is Kneeckoh and welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC moveset guide video. Today we're going to talk about a Pokemon that has really sprung up quite a bit here in this particular format. And as the meta developed in Series 3, this Pokemon has just been popping up more and more. That Pokemon is ORTHWORM, and I think ORTHWORM is actually one of the most solid archetypes that are on teams right now. I think it just pairs so well with another massive threat in the format that I think it's actually really good right now. So today we're going to talk about ORTHWORM and why you should be using it in VGC Series 3. But if this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed for more videos like this in the future. Let's get into it. So like I said, ORTHWORM has really picked up in usage recently, especially in the tournament settings, and it's because it is a really strong Pokemon in the case of its ability Earth Eater. When this Pokemon heals, it gains 1/4 of its max HP back. It has a ground immunity, and ground type is something that's super strong right now. There's nothing else that is seen as much usage outside of like Fluttermane, but like you're seeing Great Tusk, Garchomp, Tinglu, like so many Pokemon are out there running ground type moves. You're seeing Dragonites with Earthquake, things like that. So having a Pokemon that could just switch in and then regain health from it is incredibly powerful. It's very solid. But the big thing with ORTHWORM that makes it so good is not substitute, Shed Tail. Shed Tail is fantastic. So the user takes half of its max HP and you pass a substitute on to whatever Pokemon you rotate in. This is incredibly powerful right now. There are so many Pokemon that benefit from this, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit. But the moveset that you're mainly seeing, like there's really no other moves to run on this Pokemon. Just run these four. You're seeing a Citrus Berry on it because obviously you're going to be Shed Tailing. You want to get your health back. Terra Fire seems to be the most common, most prevalent version of ORTHWORM, and then you have Heavy Slam, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Shed Tail. The EV spread can be something like this: little 212 HP, 4 attack, 36 defense, 252 special defense, and 4 speed with a careful nature to make sure that that special defense, which is really your weakest portion on ORTHWORM, is a little more buffed. Now, again, the reason this is so good is Shed Tail. Shed Tail is the bread and butter of this Pokemon. It's a slow switch in that allows you to get a substitute up, and this is absolutely massive. So, looking at the biggest partner for this Pokemon, Dragonite. Dragonite absolutely loves pairing with ORTHWORM. The reason for this is multi-scale exists. Multi-scale, obviously, if the Pokemon is at full HP, damage taken from its attacks is halved, which is fantastic when you're behind a substitute. It literally takes like 2 to 3 shots to break a sub on Dragonite with multi-scale, and then you still have to break multi-scale because Dragonite's at full HP. This is incredibly powerful, and while you're behind the sub, you can run Dragon Dance. Just a bunch of Dragon Dance over and over until your sub breaks, and then you just start sweeping the game. Throw a Lumberry on it, and this is an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Obviously, you're going to be running Earthquake, because the idea is after you get your Dragon Dances up, you rotate ORTHWORM back in while you're Earthquaking and heal it back up and get another Pokemon behind a sub. Very powerful combination, and it's something that we are seeing a lot right now in the tournament settings, and I think it's super fun. I actually recently played it for a VGC Climb video that'll go up later, and it's just an incredibly solid combination. Super fun. But other Pokemon that like being on ORTHWORM's team, if you look at things like Fluttermane, obviously Fluttermane doesn't like getting hit by a steel type move. You can rotate it in ORTHWORM and take it no problem, right? So Fluttermane really likes ORTHWORM, but also for the same reason that, you know, Dragonite's really great. Having a Shed Tail up in front of a Fluttermane with like choice specs, absolutely massive. It gives you that extra opportunity to take that hit and do more damage. It's very solid for a Fluttermane to have the substitute as well. And you see even some Fluttermanes running substitute on their moveset. So just being able to do that immediately with ORTHWORM is incredibly good. Gyarados is one you're seeing mainly because of the fact that you're running so many Earthquake users, right? You're doing so much with Earthquake to reboost ORTHWORM. Having something that can rotate in and not be hit by Earthquake is very good, but also having something that can intimidate the opposition. You know, ORTHWORM doesn't really like having fighting types against it. You know, Great Tusk being a prevalent one right now. Also, you know, Iron Hands running around. ORTHWORM doesn't want to get hit by a close combat or get hit by a Drain Punch. So, you know, Gyarados being able to intimidate really helps you out and not really force your hand on the Terra on ORTHWORM. So it's a really solid combo in that regard. Other ground users, you know, Tinglu is seeing a lot of use right now as an Earthquake user. You're seeing a lot of Great Tusk running around. There's a lot of different options right now for strong Earthquake users. You could use Garchomp as well. Garchomp's a really solid option. Really anything that you want to spam Earthquake with is going to be really good combo for Orthworm. It's going to be really, really solid. And for that reason, it's just nice to be able to have the option to heal up the Pokemon that is then shedding its tail and allowing another Pokemon to get behind us up. Very, very good for that reason. Tinglu seems to be the main partner for this in terms of like Earthquake setters, and then Dragonite obviously, but over things like Great Tusk and Garchomp. And the reason for this is it is lowering the special attack of the opposing Pokemon, which again I mentioned earlier, Orthworm is not that like great, especially defensive wise. So having something that can lower that and make it much more manageable for something like, you know, if you get hit by a Shadow Ball still from a Flutter Mane, it's going to hurt a lot. So having the ability to just kind of mitigate some of that damage with Tinglu and then heal it back with Earthquake is massive. Now, Pokemon you need to be worried about are going to be, again, your fighting type Pokemon. So you're going to see Iron Hands can be a problem for this. Especially because you can just be faked out and prevent your Shed Tail, and then like more issues can be created that way. Great Tusk is very prevalent right now. Close combat hurts Orthworm a fair bit, but then you have to think more about your special attackers and those Pokemon, because those are going to be the real damage dealers to this thing. So if you think about like Flutter Mane, even like I mentioned earlier, Shadow Ball is going to hurt regardless. So Flutter Mane's not going to be great. Bundle, especially if you Terra Fire, Bundle can cause a lot of problems. So there's just a handful of Pokemon that can just kind of burst the damage out on this thing without allowing you to really get set up and get your Shed Tails going and start really working this team. But on top of this, there's also Pokemon that just don't like seeing Orthworm, right? There's Pokemon that are just shut down completely by Orthworm. So those Pokemon we need to talk about as well. So Flutter Mane actually, you know, doesn't like seeing an Orthworm. If you take a hit effectively from Flutter Mane, all you do is Heavy Slam with this thing. You Heavy Slam with Orthworm into the Flutter Mane and bye-bye Flutter, right? It's really, really scary for a Flutter Mane. Also, Bundle, like I mentioned earlier, Bundle's good into it, but also you could just body press it. You can body press it and just do crazy amounts of damage to Bundle. Tinglu really doesn't do a whole lot of anything to Orthworm at all, because you're, you know, immune to ground type damage. It really just can't deal with Orthworm all that effectively, and you can just sit in front of it in Iron Defense and then body press it into next year. If you Terra Fire, you can deal with Chi-Yu very effectively. You can also deal with Chen Pao very effectively that way. Wo-Chien gets bodied by Orthworm as well. All the ruined Pokemon really don't like sitting in front of Orthworm, because you can just Iron Defense and then body press. So just something to note there. I think honestly of them all, I would say Wo-Chien probably handles it the best. You're lowering the attack of the Pokemon and you can Leech Seed it and just kind of stall it out. I think that's probably the ruinous Pokemon that handles Orthworm most effectively. So before I close out this video, I just want to briefly show you what I'm talking about with this team. This is the Orthworm team that is making its rounds right now. It's very, very solid. It's super fun to use. So we have Orthworm here with Heavy Slam, Body Press, Iron Defense, and Shed Tail, obviously Fire. Paired with the Dragonite with the Lumberry, Multi-Scale, and Extreme Speed. Dragon Dance is the key component here. You're going to be going ahead, doing a bunch of Dragon Dances, and then maybe Terra Flying to get those massive Terra Blasts off. Tinglu's here with a Choice Band. You're going to max out those Earthquakes, maybe hit some Bulldozes for speed control, things of that nature to just kind of heal back up Orthworm and start doing crazy work. Gyarados here with the Waterfall, Taunt, Thunder Wave, and Bulldoze. Again, you have Bulldoze access, so that way you can heal up Orthworm if necessary, as well as speed control. Chen Pao to boost the damage of your physical attackers, and then you have a Flutter Mane with the choice specs to get behind the substitute. Really, really solid team. Again, it's making its rounds right now. There's a lot of people using it, and I think it's one of the better archetypes in the format right now because of all the very prevalent ground type users. So I think Orthworm is in a really healthy spot. I think it's a really fun off-meta pick that kind of became meta overnight, and I think that we're going to see a fair bit more of it throughout the rest of Series 3. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe for more daily competitive Pokemon content from me in the future. Also, be sure to check out the Discord with people over there hanging out, playing Pokemon all the time. And if you want to see anything else from me, check out any of these VGC videos that you see here on screen. Like I said earlier, I make daily competitive Pokemon content, so there's plenty of stuff for you guys to find here on the channel. But until next time, peace.